Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Israeli airstrikes at Nasser Hospital in southern Gaza have killed at least 20 people, including 5 Palestinian journalists. According to eyewitnesses, Israel carried out a double-tap strike on the hospital. A drone initially hit the hospital's roof, killing one journalist setting up a live stream. Then another strike hit journalists and rescue workers who were responding to the initial strike. During a live broadcast, Al Ghad TV filmed the second strike on the hospital.
Just now, the civil service is lost. Oh God, they've killed these people.
The journalists killed in the Israeli strike have been identified as Hossam al-Masri, a photojournalist with Reuters news agency, Mohammed Salama, a photojournalist with Al Jazeera, Mariam Abu Daka, a freelancer working with the Associated Press, Moaz Abu Taha, a journalist with NBC, and Ahmed Abu Aziz. On Saturday, another journalist was killed in Gaza, Mohammed al-Madoun, who worked at Palestine TV. At least 244 journalists have now been killed in Gaza over the past 23 months. Today's attack on Nasser Hospital came a day after Israeli forces killed at least 64 Palestinians, mostly in the north, as Israel moves to take over Gaza City and forcibly remove the city's entire population of almost 1 million. Officials in Gaza say Israel's recently destroyed more than 1,000 buildings in the Zaytun and Sabra neighborhoods of Gaza City. Meanwhile, health officials in Gaza say 11 more Palestinians, including 2 children, have died from malnutrition over the past 24 hours. At least 300 Palestinians have starved to death. On Friday, the UN formally declared a famine in the Gaza Strip. We'll go to Gaza City to speak with UNICEF. Mass protests against Israel's war on Gaza continue across the globe. In Australia, an estimated 300,000 people participated in protests this weekend across the country. This is Larissa Joy Waters, the leader of the Australian Greens.
Australians are horrified that we are selling weapons components to the Israeli government. It's got to stop. And I'm excited at the sheer numbers of votes turning out right around the country. The voice of Australians is really clear. We want peace, we want sanctions on the Israeli government, we want the aid to get through, and we want those weapons components and that two-way arms trade with Israel to stop.
Israeli fighter jets attacked the Yemeni capital of Sana'a Sunday, killing at least 6 people, injuring 86. The Israeli attack targeted a presidential palace, an oil facility, and a power plant. It came 2 days after Israel accused Houthi forces of using cluster munitions in a missile attack targeting Israel. A fire broke out at a Russian nuclear power plant in the western city of Kursk on Sunday after Russia shot down a Ukrainian drone near the plant. The fire caused some damage and reduced the plant's operating capacity by half. Ukraine launched a wave of drones on Sunday as the country marked its Independence Day. Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said Sunday there's no meeting planned yet between Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. In Washington, D.C., National Guard troops deployed by President Trump have begun carrying M17 pistols or M4 rifles. Last week, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth authorized the troops to begin carrying weapons. More than 2,200 Guard troops are now in Washington. This comes as President Trump's threatening to send the National Guard to Chicago as well as New York and Baltimore in what would be a dramatic expansion of Trump's use of military force domestically. The Washington Post reports the administration's considering deploying thousands of National Guard members to Chicago, as well as possibly active duty troops. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson called the plan, quote, the most flagrant violation of our Constitution in the 21st century, unquote. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker said, quote, Donald Trump is attempting to manufacture a crisis, politicize Americans who serve in uniform, and continue abusing his power to distract from the pain he's causing working families, unquote. On Friday, Trump claimed residents of Chicago want federal forces deployed.
And the people in Chicago, Mr. Vice President, are screaming for us to come. They're wearing red hats, just like this one, but they're wearing red hats. African-American ladies, beautiful ladies, are saying, please, President Trump, come to Chicago.
A federal judge has blocked the Trump administration from cutting off federal funding from dozens of sanctuary cities, which include some of the largest cities in the United States, including Los Angeles and Chicago. President Trump had signed executive orders that would withhold federal funding from cities with laws that limit local police cooperation with ICE. In their lawsuit against the Trump administration, sanctuary cities and counties called these orders, quote, an abuse of power, arguing the Constitution allows them to not assist ICE activities within their jurisdiction. The Trump administration seeking to deport Kilmar Abrego Garcia to Uganda just days after he was freed from ICE detention. Abrego Garcia is the Maryland man who was wrongfully deported to the notorious Secot prison in El Salvador and later returned to the U.S. On Friday, he was released in Tennessee, but he was ordered to report to the ICE field office in Baltimore today, which he has done. He reported to the ICE office this morning, where he is expected to be taken back into custody. Over the weekend, the immigrant advocacy group CASA released a short video of Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
My name is Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Today was a very special day because, thank God, I saw my family again after more than 160 days. I want to thank everyone who has been supporting me because after so much time, I am realizing that many people have been by my side with positivity, and I am thankful for them.
We'll have more on this story later in the program. We'll speak to Kilmar Abrego Garcia's family lawyer. Democratic lawmakers are harshly criticizing the Trump administration over the FBI's raid Friday on the home of John Bolton, who served as Trump's national security advisor but later became a vocal critic. On Sunday, Democratic Senator Adam Schiff appeared on Meet the Press and said the raid is part of the administration's intimidation campaign to target administration critics.
What the president is trying to do here is very systemic and systematic, and that is anyone who stands up to the president, anyone who criticizes the president, anyone who says anything adverse to the president's interests gets the full weight of the federal government brought down on them.
On Sunday, Vice President J.D. Vance defended the raid on John Bolton's home.
We're in the very early stages of an ongoing investigation into John Bolton. I will say we're going to let that investigation proceed. What I can tell you is that unlike the Biden DOJ and the Biden FBI, our law enforcement agencies are going to be driven by law and not by politics.
The Trump administration's continuing its purge of high-ranking military and intelligence officials. On Friday, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth fired the head of the DIA, that's the Defense Intelligence Agency, and another 2 senior military commanders. The move comes 2 months after a leaked DIA assessment contradicted President Trump's claim that U.S. strikes on Iran had obliterated the Iranian nuclear program. Here in New York, videos gone viral of Egyptian government employees grabbing and beating 2 Egyptian-American brothers who've been taking part in a pro-Palestine protest outside the Egyptian mission to the UN.
They're bringing the kid inside the building. They're bringing the kids in the building. They're bringing the kid in the building. They're beating them with. They're beating the kid with the chain. Can you guys bring somebody? Bring somebody. They're beating the kid with the chain. Bring somebody. They're beating the kid with the chain. Bring somebody. They're beating them inside. They're beating the kid and his brother. Yes, please.
In the video, Egyptian officials can be seen dragging the 2 brothers, aged 22 and 15 years old, into the mission and then using a chain and stick to beat them. When the New York police arrived, they arrested not the officials, but the 2 brothers. The boy's mother, Olga Al-Samak, criticized the NYPD, telling The Intercept, quote, I can expect it from the Egyptian security because this is a military-run country, but I wouldn't expect it from a police force that's supposed to protect American citizens, she said. The family of Jeffrey Epstein survivor, Virginia Giuffre, is accusing the Justice Department of giving former Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell a platform to rewrite history. On Friday, the DOJ released the transcript of Maxwell's interview with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Maxwell disputed allegations of wrongdoing against her and Epstein. She also questioned if Epstein had died by suicide in jail, and she praised President Trump, who has the power to pardon her. Giuffre's family said, said, quote, "The content of these transcripts is in direct contradiction with felon Ghislaine Maxwell's conviction for child sex trafficking," unquote. Meanwhile, the Department of Justice has begun sending subpoenaed material on Epstein to the House Oversight Committee, but Democratic lawmakers say almost all the files had already been publicly released. In Texas, the Republican-controlled Senate passed new congressional maps that could flip as many as 5 House seats in favor of the GOP. In a statement, Republican Governor Greg Abbott said, quote, "The one big, beautiful map has passed the Senate and is on its way to my desk, where it will swiftly be signed into law," unquote. Earlier this month, more than 50 Democratic legislators temporarily fled Texas for 2 weeks to deny Republicans quorum needed to pass the new congressional maps. In the latest attack on the country's renewable energy industry, President Trump's ordered companies to stop construction on a wind farm off the coast of Rhode Island. The project was nearly completed, was set to deliver electricity to hundreds of thousands of homes by next year. The Bureau of Ocean Energy Management sent a letter to one of the developers of the project saying the government was halting construction to, quote, "address concerns related to the protection of national security interests," unquote. Earlier this year, the Trump administration had tried to stop a wind farm from being built off the coast of Long Island, but eventually allowed the project to proceed after New York Governor Kathy Hochul approved new gas pipelines in New York. The state of Florida has painted over a rainbow crosswalk that was part of a memorial to honor the 49 people killed at a gay nightclub in Orlando in 2016. At the time, it was the country's deadliest mass shooting. Orlando city officials weren't notified about the removal of the mural. The mayor of Orlando called it a, quote, "cruel political act," unquote. People reportedly protested the state's move by scribbling the colors of the rainbow over the crosswalk. In a social media post, Republican Governor Ron DeSantis said, quote, "We will not allow our state roads to be commandeered for political purposes," unquote. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video. And for more of our audience-supported journalism, go to democracynow.org, where you can download our news app, sign up for our newsletter, subscribe to the daily podcast, and so much more.